Whoop, ta-da! All right. Take two. Whoop, ta-da! All right, we are at Robbers Cave State Park, and we're doing just a little bit getting out in the woods because it's just an absolutely beautiful weekend. Look at that sky. Isn't that gorgeous? Anyway, the reason I'm making this video for you guys is because I am going to be backpacking with a hammock for my very first time. So I've been backpacking a long time and I've always used a tent. So my duplex weighs about 22 ounces with the stakes, and this hammock setup that I borrowed from my friend Laura weighs 3 pounds. One definite advantage to hammocks is you don't have to have flat ground. You can even camp on the side of a hill if you have to. So we'll see how it goes. I'm gonna be using a pad on the bottom of mine because I don't have an underquilt, and neither did Laura. But you have to have some insulation underneath you because the air moving around below you can really suck the heat out of you faster than even the ground can. Laura and I went out to a park over in Dallas and set this thing up. She showed me how to do it, and I put the pad in there. So we'll see how that goes, but I'm also curious, like, where am I going to put all my stuff? I'm used to my tent. I have all my little places where I put my little things, and, you know, place for everything in its place. And in a hammock, I can't just have everything in there with me. So we'll see how that goes. But once we get to camp, I'm going to set it up and show you guys the hammock. And then in the morning, we'll let you guys know how it went. If it's something I'm going to stick with. People have told me that once I try it, I'm just going to fall in love with it. But for something this heavy and bulky, it better be damn comfortable. All right. See you at camp. I've got my tarp set up and I've got my hammock underneath. Oh my God, I feel so disorganized. Let me show you this thing. I just have stuff everywhere. There's this like cool, this is a bug net. There's this like cool little shelf where you can put stuff in. I've got so much stuff in there and I just don't know where to put it all. I've got stuff everywhere, and then some stuff I put back in my pack, which I'm gonna hang from this tree right here later on, before I go to bed. I don't know how much I'm gonna get into this. So I got my pad all set up and laid in there, and I'm afraid I'm going to be kind of cold. This wind keeps switching around. When I put the hammock up, I made the tarp so that the wind was blowing this way against it, and that way it was blocking the wind. Well, then the wind switched around and started blowing through here like a wind tunnel. Luckily I brought my 0-degree quilt, and hopefully that'll keep me warm. But yeah, so far the gear. Oh, and then getting dressed. I was able to get dressed, the lower half of me laying down, but when it came time to get my top part changed, I couldn't do it in the hammock. And of course now there's an airplane going over. I'm on vacation. I don't want to hear airplanes. So I had to get out of the hammock and sit on the edge of the thing so that I could change the top part, which wasn't a big deal, but it's supposed to get down into the 40s tonight. So which means in the morning when I wake up, it's also going to be in the 40s. And oh, that's going to suck. I'm not looking forward to that. And I don't know what the fix for that is. I've got my whole morning routine down to the point it takes me about an hour from the time my alarm goes off to the time I've got feet on the trail hiking. It starts off where I wake up in the morning, I unzip my mesh, and right there in my vestibule, I start my coffee water. And that also helps heat up the inside of the tent, which helps me get out of my sleeping bag because nobody wants to get out of their sleeping bag when it's freezing ass cold outside. So I have no vestibule. I don't see how I'm going to reach my stove. I don't know how I'm going to do this. I'm going to have to just wake up, put my clothes on, come out into the cold morning, change my top, freeze my titties off, and then I'm going to have to come over to the campfire there where they're laughing at me. I think they stopped talking right when I said freeze my titties off. We're gonna be doing it too. Well, because I was telling them that I can't change my top in here. I can change my bottoms, but I can't change my top.
Oh, I'm sure you can figure out a way.
No, because of the bug net, I can't even sit up.
Oh.
So I can change my bottoms, but then when it's like 40 whatever degrees out in the morning, I have to come out of this thing into the cold and change my shirt.
Gotta learn how to start distillation.
It's gonna be interesting. So, but I have a feeling that it is gonna involve freezing my titties off. Yep. So I'll get back with you guys in the morning and let you know how it went. Bye. I said bye again. Huh?
We have wine.
Oh, we have wine. Yeah. All right, now I'm really going because I got wine to drink.
Yay, how long was that?
Huh?
You done videoing?
No, I'm still videoing.
Okay. Never mind.
She has the prettiest hair. Oh, speaking of hair. Dude, inside that hammock is a static mess. You know those balls that have little stuff on it, and then when you touch it, your hair goes bzzz? That's what it's like inside that hammock. It's crazy. I looked up after I took my nap, I looked up and all my hair was straight up and plastered against the bug net. It was just completely stuck with static electricity. Oh, jeez. It was weird. Okay, now I'm going. Bye. Ooh-wee, look at that fire going. It looks nice. Ooh, look at that hammock set up over there. Good morning. All right, so here's my final impressions of the tarp and the hammock. It's very, very comfortable as long as your arms don't slide off the pad and your body doesn't slide off the pad. Otherwise, you wake up in the middle of the night and you are, no joke, cold. So, guess what happened to me like multiple times last night? I woke up, I was half off the pad, so I'd have one cold butt cheek and then the other one warm, and it was really confusing. But once I got back on the pad, I got warm again, so obviously the fix for that is the underquilt. I was kind of thinking that another issue I might have is feeling exposed. Because, I mean, I know a tent is just your little... like, it's just a little bit of fabric around you, and it's not actually going to protect you from anything, so it's just like, I don't know if it's all just psychological. I don't know, it just really, it makes me feel just a little bit safer. So I was wondering if being out in the hammock might make me feel a little bit more exposed, and like, I could just like foresee a wolf walking underneath me. Yeah, a wolf in Oklahoma. But I could just like see it like brushing up against the bottom of my butt as I'm sleeping. I didn't feel exposed or anything, so I guess the tarp gave me my little false sense of security. For the weight, for the difficulty of moving around, the difficulty of organizing your gear and packing up and everything else, for the most part, I don't think hammock camping's for me. And I'm not saying it's not for everybody. A lot of people do it successfully and love it, but Like I said, I know an underquilt would have really made things better as far as warmth goes, but this one just isn't for me. I'm a ground dweller. I like my tent. I like to have my stuff in all its places. And alright, so I'm going to go ahead and start taking this thing down. Alright, just had another thought. So I was talking with the group I'm camping with about this stuff, and like once you get the underquilt and you don't have to have the pad anymore, if you're on a hike like on our on the Washita Trail, which is our local long trail, they have a shelter system similar to what you would have on the AT. And if you have an underquilt and then you get to one of the shelters and it's raining and storming and you want to use the shelter, I know some of the shelters have hooks so you could set up a hammock inside, but if it doesn't and you need to sleep on the shelter floor, you have no pad. So that's kind of another drawback. So had kind of an interesting night. There's some fires in the area. We had a ranger come by. I think she was a ranger. She was wearing a bulletproof vest, had a gun, all kinds of stuff with her, but she was saying that the fire they had been monitoring that was near us had changed. As of the time we were still safe, but there was a chance that we may have to evacuate in the middle of the night. So gave her my in-reach information so they could just send us a message, let us know we were going to be evacuated so we could start packing up. But it never happened. Anyway, so just a little bit of information about Robbers Cave. The backcountry campsites and the car campsites are $16 per tent. You heard me right, not $16 per site. $16 per tent. And $16 per 2 hammocks. I was the only one with a hammock and they weren't sure how to split that price, so they just went ahead and let me go for free. Before I came over here, I came across one of MacGyver's videos, and he was talking about how they were having a hard time finding the trail. But he said it wasn't marked very well, but now, as you can see, it's marked pretty well. These things are all over the place. We were talking to one of the rangers, and she told us that they just recently spent $8,000 buying these things, and they're also highly reflective. So, but yeah, so we even went on a trail that isn't used much, and it wasn't trampled very well. And at some places you couldn't see the trail at all, but you could always see these markers loud and proud. So you may not be on the trail, but you could still hike from marker to marker and be just fine. So anyway, today we're hiking out, and unless anything else happens, this will probably be the last you'll hear me.